Welcome to Simplify Your Retirement with certified financial planner Stephen Stricklin from Wise Wealth LLC. In this podcast, we help individuals and couples plan for a peaceful and enjoyable retirement. Join us on this journey where we explore the importance of simplifying the retirement planning process, as Stephen, with his years of experience and expertise in retirement income planning, along with guest experts, will help you achieve first wisdom, then wealth. And don't forget to check out the Simplify Your Retirement online course and other great resources at simplifyyourretirement.com. Now, on to the show.
Hello, and welcome to Simplify Your Retirement with Stephen Stricklin from Wise Wealth. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning, Paul. It's great to be back.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day. Love to be here this morning in the studio with you, and excited for Season 3, Episode 2 here as we take a deeper look at what we just briefly touched on last time.
Well, definitely something I'm very passionate about, talking about the mission of Wise Wealth and also really the mission of what we hope people are looking to do when they retire. What is the purpose of retirement? So look forward to talking about that today.
Yeah, absolutely. So last time we talked briefly again about the mission statement of Wise Wealth. Today we want to really take a closer look at that because, as I mentioned at the end of the first episode, words matter. And I know with you, none of these words are by accident. Everything is very intentional. And so we really want to just look at what do these words mean? Why did they come together in this manner? And what does it mean for someone moving forward as they're planning for retirement? So I think it's probably a good place to start again just by having you tell us, in case someone missed it last time, what is the mission statement of Wise Wealth?
Well, I appreciate that, Paul, and I appreciate you mentioned here about intentionality. And certainly I think it's something that's very important, that the words do matter. The process matters. There's nothing that is, we try to do things on purpose, with purpose. Certainly one of those is the Simplify Retirement course, the podcast, the book, and so forth, but also everything that we do at our financial planning firm, Wise Wealth. And it really comes down to the slogan that we have that was not by accident. First wisdom, then wealth. It wasn't just something that was, kind of dreamed up one day. It came from a specific place and a reason. And the whole idea behind that slogan, first wisdom and wealth, is the idea that the plan comes first and then you build wealth based on that plan, or you make your decisions based on the plan. And so that's where Wise Wealth really comes up with its philosophy about being a planning firm first and then an investment firm second. And then our mission statement, and I'm really glad to talk about this. I know we, like you just mentioned, we briefly introduced it at the end of our last session together, our last episode, but this episode is going to be all about that mission statement. And one of the reasons why I'm excited about this is because you know how a lot of times you have a great idea, you have a great concept, and maybe you know about it, and maybe everybody in your team knows about it, but no one else would know about it. You live it, you do it. I would say that everyone who's a part of our firm, especially Wise Wealth, this is their approach, this is their attitude, this is their philosophy. We're all doing this, living this, breathing this every day. But it doesn't necessarily mean that people that are even clients of Wise Wealth would know. Yeah. And so why this is going to be important to let everybody know what the mission of Wise Wealth is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what gets us up in the morning.
Right.
But when a client can absolutely grab this and understand it, and understand how the planning plays into this, it's what can help drive them and get them up in the morning as well.
Right. And I can remember going back to episode 1 or season 1. It may have been episode 1, but season 1 of the Simplify Retirement podcast, I remember Eric at the time asked me a question about what types of clients are you looking for, and what are the types of clients that come to Wise Wealth. And I think I gave an answer about people that value planning, people that value education, and that certainly is true. But we certainly, one of the great things about this particular podcast will be, I think people will get a better understanding of who the type of people are that we help, that we want to help, that we enjoy helping. These are the people that we want everyone to know about Wise Wealth if they share the same philosophy. And this is what they want to be free to do. So I'm excited to talk about this today with you and explain this to our audience so that they know what we stand for, but also really the types of clients that we really enjoy helping be successful. And successful means that they have fulfilled the mission and fulfilled what we're going to talk about today. The mission of Wise Wealth is to guide investors on the path to financial significance where they are free to give and to serve and to enjoy life like never before. And I know one of the things we want to do in this podcast today is really break that down because like you said, and like we mentioned, none of these words are accidental. They're all intentional. And so we'll just start right at the beginning to guide investors. And so obviously we're a financial planning firm. We're a wealth management firm. So our role in the process is to be the guide. To help people. We obviously now have helped hundreds and thousands of people plan for a successful and peaceful and enjoyable retirement. That's why we're here. We're all called to do this. That's what we enjoy doing. And so we take our experience. Everybody in our firm may have a different focus, but everyone has experience helping people get to where they are, to where they want to be. And certainly we want to do that with a spirit of excellence. Everybody on this team is qualified. Everyone is competent, but we want to do it in the right way. Sometimes you meet smart people in the profession, you know what I mean? They're very smart, but their attitude may be terrible. We want to follow the golden rule. Treat others the way that you want to be treated. And so as a guide, our focus, and again, this is going back to episode 1 when we talked about our process, how do we help clients? We take them through a very purposeful, intentional process. And part of that process is in the first meeting that we call the W meeting, using the acronym WISE, we want to be a guide. And what does a guide do? He's going or she's going to listen to the needs, goals, visions, desires of the client. So that way we can put together a plan that gets them there. And so guidance is a huge part of this. And so that's what we want to do. We're not the leader. We're the person who's giving the guidance.
Yeah, absolutely.
To help people get where they need to go.
Absolutely. And to me, that's really important because this isn't our retirement.
Right.
But we have the experience of walking through this process with many people and helping them achieve their dreams, their retirement goals. And so we're able to be that voice of experience.
Yes.
But yet it's all about you as a client.
That's right.
Because it's their plan. It's not ours.
And the advantage of, obviously, we believe one of our value propositions here, and the reason why people should engage us here at Wise Wealth is because as a guide, we're not limited. Where some financial planning firms are. We do have insurance, we have investments, we're full service. We can get our hands on pretty much any investment solution the client needs. So we serve as a guide. The mission of Wise Wealth is to guide investors. And so I know you like stories, and a lot of times I go straight to the facts, and I'll tell a ton of stories a lot of times, especially in the podcast. But I'll tell one now. Okay. We know that a guide, another term for a guide, we've talked about this before, is like a Sherpa, and a Sherpa takes people up the mountains and down the mountains. And what we know is that sometimes these Sherpas, especially, I think we have some clients who've climbed some mountains before. You know what I mean? I've climbed some hills. I don't think I've ever climbed a mountain before, but I would like to. But I know if I ever do, I'm taking a Sherpa with me. You're taking a guide. This is someone who has experience. This is someone who's been up and down this thing many times. They've helped many people in many different conditions. Some are in shape. Some are not in shape. Some have done this before. Some have never. And they get them up and they get them down. But one thing that I think that it relates to this phase of a person's investment life, which we talked about in our last episode, that we focus on retirement income planning. And this is interesting because it just so happens I was at Yellowstone a couple weeks ago, and I was telling my kids this very story. We didn't climb a mountain, we climbed a hill. And I told them about the Sherpa, and I said, you know what? Most accidents happen when people are mountain climbing on the way down. Yeah. Most deaths occur on the way down. And I was telling my kids, yes, you got up here to the top of this cliff or whatever we climbed, but on the way down is when people tend to relax, or they're not paying attention as well. They got to where they needed to be. And this is a illustration of retirement. We help people, I don't want to necessarily say on the way down, but on the other side of retirement. A lot of people work their whole career and they finally made it to the top. They're age 65, they're age 62, they're age 60, whatever the age is, they have climbed the summit. They've gotten themselves to a level of savings. They have a nest egg that's going to be enough to get them all the way down. And so there's this exhale, we made it, now we can just do whatever. Well, no, you can't just do whatever. And that's really where a guide comes in. And so really we were helping people not only just get there, but more importantly, on the way down, that way they don't trip and fall, they don't make a mistake. And all the work they did to get to the top was to no avail.
In the last episode, we kind of recapped where we've been in season 1 and 2, but a great example of that is in season 1, episode 5, we talked about the impact of market volatility. People think, well, we have market volatility our whole life.
Right.
Yes, but on the downside, when you start taking distributions, you get to retirement and you're not just saving anymore, but you're actually taking money out, there is a new risk that occurs.
Yep.
It's called sequence of returns risk. If you don't understand that, your trip down, your trip through retirement can be detrimental.
Yep.
And so you have to have someone who understands not just the risks getting up the summit,
Yes.
but the new risks that occur on the backside of the summit as you're heading into retirement distribution. And
Absolutely.
That's what we do here.
So important. And you're right. Like you said, you may be able to get to the summit even on your own, but you better have a guide on the way down. And that's what we're here to do. You know, some people maybe say, hey, I've done investing on my own. I was in my 401k. Somehow I invested in my 401k all these years and I got to a point where I've got enough assets to be able to retire. Why do I need anybody now? Well, the point is that because the way down is treacherous, the way down is dangerous, and there's a lot of things that are different on the way down than they were on the way up. And that's why you need a guide. And so going back to our mission statement, the mission of Wise Wealth is to guide. That's an important word. To guide investors. Some people may be saying, well, I'm not an investor. I'm just, well, anybody who has investments, that's what we mean by that. Anybody who has assets that they've saved and accumulated for retirement. So our mission is to guide investors on the path to financial significance. So I'll stop right there again. Significance. We look at that as being in a position to have influence. That's a great place to be. I think it's an awesome goal for people in life to want to get to the place where they have financial significance. And the only way to do that, or the only way to have that, or the only way to be financially significant is to be at a place where you have saved, you have invested, you have accumulated, you had a plan, you've had goals. All of that's extremely important. Some people, the goal is to get to retirement and do nothing. Part of that is understandable. You know, some people wanted to, maybe they worked hard and grinded out their whole life. They just wanted to be able to relax. Some people want to get there to be financially free, and not just financially free in the financial sense of the word, but free from any responsibilities, relationships, whatever. I don't want to have to deal with anybody anymore. I've got enough money. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm going to a beach and I'm just going to isolate myself. Some people do that. But what we really want to help people do, and what gets us excited and energized to help people, is to get them to a place where they are financially significant. That includes being financially independent, where they don't have to work to produce their income stream anymore, where they are free, where they don't have to go in 9 to 5 anymore. So those are elements of significance. You can't really be financially significant unless you have financial freedom and financial independence. So we're going to try to get people there, but it's not a goal in and of itself. It's a goal to get there so that we can now do something new in retirement. It's not just stopping being relevant in the world, which is really what we're going to get into in this season. It's becoming maybe even more relevant in doing these things. And our mission is to guide investors on the path to financial significance where they are free. And so I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, what that means.
Yeah, you kind of talked about it briefly, the path, though. I mean, the path is important, too, to make sure that people understand, because just like when you said you went to Yellowstone, that's one of the items on my bucket list. I haven't been there yet. But I also know that whether we're hiking or we're walking or anything, when you're on a path, it's something that's marked out ahead of time and has a clear place that it's going. Right? It's the best way to get there. And when you don't have a path, you're just kind of all over the place.
Right.
And so the path really, I would equate to the plan outlines where you're going. And so this is part of the planning process, not just how much do you need in retirement, but the planning process for us is so much bigger than just how much money do you need in retirement?
Right, exactly. And I'll tell you what, Paul, there's a big difference between taking a hike down the street and taking a hike down a mountain. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what I mean by that is something that's simple that we see every day, that's easy, but coming down a mountain, coming down in retirement is totally different. And what I mean by that is when you talk about the path is the plan, and that's exactly right. People need to have a path, need to have a plan that we're guiding them on. It also needs to be something that is clear and written down. For example, if I was at Yellowstone and I was climbing down the mountain and I looked at that map one time before I left to climb down the mountain, I don't know where we'd be, okay? I mean, I'd be back in the studio, okay? But I didn't. I had it on my phone. You have an app, and we're constantly looking at it to make sure we're still on the right path. Mm-hmm. We're still heading toward our goals. We're safe because we're on the path. We're still operating within the plan in our retirement income planning context. Mm-hmm. Very important. If you think about it from my perspective, why do I love helping people plan for retirement? Why do I love financial planning? Why, if you read my book, the preface to my book, I talk about how this is my calling. I feel like called to do this. I get up every day and I don't think, oh boy, I have to help people do finance. No, I want to help people get to this place. This is an awesome place to be.
Absolutely.
Everybody who's listening to us probably wants to be at that place where I'm free to give and serve and enjoy life. Mm-hmm. So that's what we get to do every day. We get to wake up and help people get to that place. And if that's their goal, that excites us. That's where we want to get them. And then therefore, the sooner they can get to that place, the better.
Absolutely.
In other words, we want to help people get to that place where they're totally free to do these things. And I don't think it's any surprise to anybody that, that the Bible is important to me. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these principles that we teach actually are timeless principles, we call them, and we didn't make them up. They're there for anybody to read and to draw principles from. Even the name of our firm, Wise Wealth, we talked about this before. It came from Proverbs 24, 3 and 4. I was reading that, and that's where I got the name of the firm and the slogan. But really, I want people to understand, too, the mission of Wise Wealth came from another passage in the Bible, just to be clear, so people understand where it came from. And I'm just going to read it real quick. This is actually from the New Testament, and it's in 1 Timothy 6, verses 17 through 19. And I was going to read these words because it's where we got the mission. It's where I felt the calling. In other words, there was a time in my life back in 2004, believe it or not, where I first read these words. And when I read these words, I felt like, this is what I want to help people do. This is what I want to do. That's what I help people do. It says, 1 Timothy 6, 17 to 19, teach those who are rich in this world. There's this whole concept of rich, but really anybody in America pretty much who's saving and investing for retirement has any sort of assets at all compared to the rest of the world. So it's pretty much everybody listening to this podcast.
Yes.
Teach those that are rich in this world. So again, teaching, this appealed to me. Anyone who knows me knows I used to be a teacher and our whole firm was built in education. Teach those who are rich in this world not to be proud and not to trust in their money, which is so unreliable, which we know because the stock market goes up and down. Their trust should be in God, who richly gives us all we need for our enjoyment. Tell them to use their money to do good, that they should be rich in good works and generous to those in need, always being ready to share with others. By doing this, they will be storing up their treasure as a good foundation for the future so that they may experience true life. Can you imagine? These words are so powerful, and when I read these things, I said, there it is. We want to guide investors in the path to financial significance where they are free to give. And so it says in these verses here that they are generous to those in need, always being ready to share. And I remember when I first thought about that concept, always being ready to share. This is an important concept that you get to a place where you're able to cover all of your own needs for you, your family, you meet all your goals, but you also have money that you can help other people in need. That's a great place to be. And so if we can help people get there to be free to do that, absolutely, we're going to help them get there.
And I don't think I've ever run across anyone who says, I don't ever want to give to someone else. I don't ever want to help someone else financially. Right. I mean, most people want to. Yep. Maybe they feel like they can't.
Absolutely.
But it's a desire.
We want to get them.
It's a natural desire for people to want to do that.
Exactly. So the goal of retirement is get to a place where you're free to be able to give. where you have the freedom to be able to see other people in need and help them. And we know that there's an absolute correlation between happiness and generosity. And so certainly at our firm, we want to promote generosity. We want to help people become generous. So that's one of the things. We want people to be free to give, but also free to serve. It said in those verses there that tell them to use their money to do good, that they're rich in good works. So a lot of times we think of, hey, it's just about giving money. Well, maybe in your retirement situation is you barely are going to get there to be able to have enough income to cover your own needs. But what you do have now is time. And so some people have extra money to give, and that's valuable for charities or for individuals. But some people don't have extra money, but they have extra time. To be able to be at a place where you are free, because now you don't have to work 40 hours a week. You don't have to work 9 to 5. You're not working 50 weeks a year. You have freedom because you have saved and invested. It's enough to cover your income needs. And now, therefore, because you don't have to go into quote unquote work every day, you're free to serve, whether that's your favorite charity, whether that's your family. There's a lot of ways to serve, and we can talk about that in just a minute. So we want people to be free to give, free to serve. And I'm so glad it said it in here that we can have enjoyment. Mm-hmm. We want people to be able to be free so that they can enjoy their life. And that was really the whole idea of this, I would say, American concept, and still fairly new, by the way. We probably don't have time to go into that now. You know what I mean? Concept of retirement. It was a time of relaxation, enjoying time with family and friends. That's the goal of retirement. And so certainly you should be able to do that. Most people don't get to be able to financial freedom and significance and not having to work just as something that comes easy. You worked hard to get there. Mm-hmm. You put in the hours. You actually sacrificed. You took money that you could have been getting paid and spending all those years, and you set it aside so that it could grow and so you could retire one of these days. So there absolutely is an element of enjoying your life. There are places that maybe people have wanted to go see. They don't have enough time off of work to do it. And so all those things are absolutely 100% part of it. But I think sometimes people make the mistake of, I'm going to work my whole life until I can finally start enjoying life. Well, I would say, first of all, you know what I mean, you should be enjoying it while you're the journey, you know, not just the destination. So there's a whole other concept there. Don't wait to enjoy life until then, and also don't wait to give and serve until then. But the whole idea is it would be great to be at a place where you are free because you're financially, and you have an attitude of financial significance where you're free to give and serve and enjoy life without any of the 9 to 5 encumbrances, traffic, driving on 435 or whatever the case may be, going through the triangle, never again. I'm sure it's a great day for people when they don't have to do these things, and you can maybe sleep in a little longer and all these things. Paul, I would say that, Wise Wealth, that's why we exist, to help people be free to give, serve, and enjoy life like never before. We want to help as many people as possible do that. Absolutely.
When you're talking about enjoying life, it made me think of Tom Hegna. I know we had him on as a guest in season 2, episodes 7 and 8. He wrote a book that you referenced last time, Paychecks and Playchecks. But he's one who talks about enjoying life as well. And we've seen it, and he talks about how hard it is for some people to do that because they're so used to saving, working, that they think when we get to retirement, we're just going to enjoy life. Well, they have a hard time doing that.
Right.
It has to be intentional. And that was one thing as you were talking that I was thinking about in this process too. I had a kind of a mentor in the industry tell me one time that when we meet with people, what we want to do is absolutely there's something called hard data. These are the things that a lot of financial advisors talk about. What do you own? Where do you own it? How much do you have? All of that. Right. How much do you need? So there's the numbers part of things. But then there's the soft data. This is the part about you. What do you want retirement to look like? And I think just like we have to have a plan for retirement income, right? If we are not intentional about it, we're not going to have success. The same comes with how you spend your time and your money in retirement. And so having this, what I love about the mission statement here is it allows people to be able to take in the soft data side of things, be able to say, in my retirement plan, I'm going to build in, how do I proactively want to give, serve, and enjoy life in retirement so that I make a plan for it so that I can do it and feel good about it. Right, exactly. It is so important, and that's why this is, we call it a mission statement. It's a statement, but then there is the plan on how to get there.
And it really doesn't have to be complicated still. It follows our process, and this is what we do for people. We'll take them through a process. And even in the context of the buckets, even in the context of our retirement income planning, we always talk about, we want our clients to understand what is their income need in retirement. And we have 2 levels of income need. One is your living expenses, what's it going to take just to pay the bills. The other one is your lifestyle expenses. And part of lifestyle expenses includes giving, serving, and enjoying life. That's really what it is.
Absolutely.
And so we want people to say, hey, if you want to retire and do more than just pay the bills, we need to know that number. That's part of this hard data that you say. We have to know what has to come in no matter what, just so that you know what I mean, you can pay all the bills. But then what do you really want to have come in over and above that number so that you can actually enjoy life and get involved in these things? That's an important process, part of what we do. That's like the driving force behind what we do. What people see is 3 buckets. What people see is 5 principles. But people need to understand where it's coming from. It's coming from this backdrop of, hey, we want to help people get there and do these things so that they can really look forward to retirement and actually really enjoy retirement. And I also just want to make sure I point out here, when we're talking about giving, sometimes giving can be to, a church or a charity. Sometimes it can be giving to family members in need. Serving may be serving a charity or a church or a mission, but sometimes serving is serving your grandkids, watching the kids for your parents. So in other words, there is no, once we use the terms give, serve, and enjoy life, that is a very subjective thing to everybody. We don't have the answer to that. That's where it comes down to you. And like you said at the beginning of our podcast today, and that is when we sit down, we want to find out what the client's goals, it's listening. And so even when it comes to this, what does giving look like to you? What does serving look like to you? What does enjoying life look like to you? All those things are important because that answer is different for everybody too. And it doesn't have to be the same.
Absolutely.
What you give to and what I give to, where you serve and who you serve and what you serve and how often, all those things. And then what is enjoying life? Some people want to go to the beach. Some people want to play golf. Some people want to go in their RV. That part of it looks different for everybody. It's important to know that it's not just, one thing.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's so exciting about season 3 here. So as we're wrapping up kind of the beginning to season 3 here, I know that you like to simplify things. Thus the name of the podcast and the book and the course, Simplify Your Retirement. Yep. But if you could sum it up in 3 words, what are we going to focus on this season?
Give, serve, and live.
Give, serve, and live. Absolutely. Yep. I'm excited because you talked about how it looks different for everyone. What we're going to be doing as we walk through this season is we're going to be highlighting each of those, spending time. What does it look like to give? What does it look like to serve? What does it look like to live? And I'm really excited because we have some guests coming on.
That's right. And I'm excited about that too. In this episode, we're going to actually have some clients who are on the other side of the mountain. They've made it to retirement. They're in retirement, and they're doing these things. A lot of our clients are involved in these things. So I'm excited to share with our audience some of what our clients are doing in the world of giving, in the world of serving, in the world of enjoying life. I think it'd be great for people to hear what other people are doing in retirement in these areas, but not only just our clients, but we also have some resources. We have some experts in the field that can help people if they don't know how to give or where to give and how to serve or where to serve and how to enjoy life and all those things. So we're going to have experts in each one of these 3 areas talk about how they can help people be involved in these things, but also clients who are doing these things.
Absolutely. That will be inspirational. It will give people, I think, a great idea of what it can look like for them, and hopefully it will trigger some excitement for people planning for retirement to be able to say, this is what I'm looking forward to, and then we can help guide them to get there.
It's going to be great. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Stephen, for sharing your heart, your mission today. I know that I'm always blessed by hearing it, and I know that our listening audience is blessed by hearing it. And of course, our last thank you goes to you, the listening audience. We wouldn't be here without you. Thank you for tuning into the Simplify Retirement Podcast with Stephen Stricklin. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Stephen comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it much easier to share this podcast with your friends and family, especially one like this, where it can help them plan to give, serve, and live.
Thank you for listening to the Simplify Your Retirement Podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Wise Wealth LLC or Simplify Your Retirement. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of a financial advisor or other qualified financial professionals with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.